All right, so if you got a question, just raise your hand and Sean will pick you for the crowd.
All right, Daniel. Mr. Daniel Bryant, you're our first question today.
Yeah, thank you. Will I be able to open a shop here and sell digitalized products?
What? The answer is 100%. So I'll repeat the question, everybody. The question is, can you build a store inside here and actually sell commerce? And the answer is 1,000%. So you're going to be able to build your own location. You'll be able to have your own URL, which means that people can go directly. So you can go on Twitter and say, I want DanielT-shirtshop.com, and they will go directly to your immersive experience that you control the payments, you control everything inside there, and you can monetize the way you want in our system. So the answer is 100%. That's the purpose of what we're building.
I'm gonna add an addendum to that, which is that there's a big difference between the world we're building and the world you're used to, in which everything resides in its own domain, rectangle or cube. And so if you build a store, you're not limited to putting everything into one location. Just like you don't have one big Starbucks in the middle of Des Moines, Iowa that everyone has to go to if they want coffee. They scatter little stores all around the world. And so when you build a shop, because we're going to have off-world planets that are going to be 100 light years away, stuff like that, you will want to think about scattering your shop and franchising it into little bits and pieces around whatever you do.
Fantastic.
Carlos. Wait, go ahead. Let's do Carlos first, and whoever just spoke, we'll go. Oh, yeah, go ahead. Okay. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Because it's on the same topic, but
so Carlos or
is
no, 1 second, Carlos. I'm sorry. He's kind of trying. Go ahead.
with events. If you did events,
I don't hear him.
can you have some ability to control who has access based on some payment plan?
All right. So so he's asking if we do an event, can you control the access? So please understand, this is just like owning your own website, right? You have a domain, you have a place, but you guys control what activity you want to build. If it's a store, if it's a concert, if it's an expo, you want to build your own platform. So Horizons can build on top of, rebuild on top of RP1 or Roblox. You could build basically platforms like Spatial.io on top of RP1. So you're not limited to just single-use experiences. You could build platforms that bring other people with pre-baked tools that you build and deploy. So yes, you could build your own concert. You could control who is allowed to go there, who can experience, and you're in control of that space. But the idea is, as Dean alluded to, once someone is done with your experience, the same way that when I'm done with, let's say, Amazon.com, I seamlessly can go to Nike.com or anywhere else in the same ecosystem. That's how it's going to work here, is that once you're at the plaza that's owned by somebody, you can go to the store that's over there that's owned by somebody else and seamlessly be able to move from experience and connect with anyone on the planet doing that experience. But Austin, Carlos, you were next.
Well, let me one more addendum to that, which is that everything Sean said will eventually be possible, but it will take some time. We're a very small team building out a lot of technology, and so yes, it is designed that over time you will absolutely be able to build your own venue and control who has entrance to it, but it's just gonna, it won't be available 2 months from now. So.
Yeah. All right, so Carlos, you're up. Go for it.
All right. So my question is, will you guys be building in recording devices so that you can have cameramen? I noticed you had a couple of cameramen streaming this, but will that be part of something that'll be down the roadmap, as they say?
Yeah. Like 100%. So think of it as, not only is it capable, but you could actually build a service that could actually manage, and people can buy your service to manage that in their own experience. So the whole idea is having a fully extensible system. And let me explain what extensible means. Extensible system means, and actually you have server side and client side. And actually Yinch, he's the man who's actually building the extensibility. If you want to describe what that extensibility is and how people will be able to build both tools and everything within the system, that'd be great.
We're trying to define a set of protocols that allows people to always add to the system. So initially we will implement certain activities to get people started, like the first apps you get on your iPhone. But absolutely, once the protocols are published, anybody who writes through those protocols will be able to add functionality to the system. So if you wanted to add ticketing, or you wanted to add audio streaming or recording systems, the protocol is an open protocol, and all you have to do is just, if you use the protocol, basically, you're very, very welcome. So whatever you can dream of that can be expressed in what the protocol allows can be done. And protocol is not like a static thing, and we do expect it to grow over time.
And just to add to what Yintra is saying is, we're going to have literally all the way from no code to full code tools. And so imagine stuff like Canva and style sheets that make it easy for anyone to build and deploy full immersive content. And we're hoping that's going to be as easy as making TikTok videos. And I think the goal is to empower any creator, no matter what type of technical education that they have, where they can build and deploy, similar to like websites, where if you're a full coder, you can build really fully customized websites, or you go to Squarespace or Wix and instantly be up and running in minutes. The whole premise is to make it easy for anyone to build and deploy any type of content platforms within the ecosystem.
Also,
When's this going to happen?
wait, hold on. I want to add one more thing. Think about different than what you might be used to, in that you might think of recording as just recording what you're viewing, which will be possible to set up multiple camera angles and actually create like a telecast of something going on and switch between camera angles. But you'll also be able to record bot movement, or not bot, avatar movement and avatar audio separately and save them into different tracks so that you can play back what happened and allow people to inject themselves into the middle of an event, sort of like a movie that you can see from the inside, and you'll get all the 3D spatial audio and everything as part of that experience.
Sweet.
Cool. All right, so I think the next person, where'd he go? Pick. I think you had a question,
here.
Pick. Go for it, Pick.
Sorry, I crashed. You guys plan to have an system that can move from like kind of one experience to another, like Ready Player One?
Well, that's actually kind of what this demo is for. So did you notice that you went up to the lounge, which is a different place? So I want you to imagine, and actually, it's a great question. As we grow, people are going to buy location. Oops, where are we getting feedback?
Yeah, someone, we're getting feedback over here. Patrick, give us
on the Vision
feedback.
Pro.
Sorry about that.
No worries.
Pro's got the audio.
I love it. Actually, yeah. So the funny thing is, yeah, if you could mute, it would be great. Thank you so much. So the whole idea is imagine if Disneyland bought a plot of land that's 100 miles in that direction. They have a specific address, an actual location, and they can manage that location how they want to. And you seamlessly, the same way you open up your menu and you went to store or you went to Plaza, you would have like a whole new search engine and friend find list that you would instantly be able to go to their location. But when you're done, you'd now be able to go to Daniel's new T-shirt shop that he wants to build. That's at a different location where another friend is looking at it. So we're showing you the beginnings of what you just described. The whole idea that anyone can build any application, any place. So imagine that if I have a classroom that I'm going to go to that's at some digital coordinate system, and when I'm done, I can go now to a whole nother location and play a game, or I can now go and learn something like chef.com or something, and I can actually see someone cooking. Or imagine if you wanted to build a way to do dissecting frogs, right? And so actually go to your location if I'm in a classroom, and I can actually now dissect a frog with my class and be able to do it over and over again. So it's pretty unlimited as far as what you can build, but everything is going to be connected so that you seamlessly can move from experience to experience the same way that you could easily teleport to any experience in this smaller demo.
And any place you could teleport to, you could actually travel to just straight. Like if you wanted to grab a spaceship and fly all the way to the moon, you could do that, but you could also teleport there.
Exactly. Adam, I think you were next. Go for it.
So I kind of have a two-part question, and I was actually asking this of Yench when we all got summoned to the plaza, so I'll just re-ask it. But if I was to create like a tennis game, and you and I could play tennis, right? And I hit the tennis ball to you, and you hit the tennis ball back to me. Where is the physics of the ball going to be managed? And if you hit the ball like into another server, will that be there? Like maybe if Dean comes into the experience later.
Get your ball out of my digital yard.
That's
That's so awesome. So go for it, Dean.
If you're building a tennis game, your game is managed and run actually on your server. So it wouldn't cross over server, and you would manage the physics of that ball. There's no physics in the world right now. We will have a base physics layer that's built into the system that will apply to certain objects that are within the map. But in the case of tennis, and I'll have to defer to a much more technical conversation later on, that ball is actually not in the map and does not work the same way it would work in, say, Horizons or potentially Unity or Unreal. So the ball kind of is in this Schrodinger cat range. It like does exist and doesn't exist at the same time. So it's interesting how that works into the activities. It's very clear in my mind, but I don't think I can convey that information to everyone right now. But catch me later. I'll happily explain it to you. And it'll become more clear over time as people get used to putting activities into the world. It's sort of and we have to convey the position of that ball at all times to everyone, same way that you would do it in Unreal or Horizon.
All right. Well, listen, I have another question. Nicole, I see you back there with your hand. You've been super patient. Nicole, let me know what are you thinking?
Awesome. Yeah. Well, I'm really curious about city planning. So if we have, different, are you going to like have districts? Here's, this is educational. This is more of the theme park area. Because a lot of places, if you get in a lot of virtual worlds, you have just a hodgepodge of different, places all together. So what's your plan for city planning?
I can answer. That's my favorite question so far. Believe it or not, even though I'm an architect guy, that's my favorite question. So, our plan for the Earth,
Let me hear this
as we know, our actual solar system will be a digital twin. So Earth will be a digital twin of Earth right now. Anything outside of Earth, any other planet, anywhere, will be open, and we will be leasing land, really, 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 really cheaply, in a very unique model that makes it infinitely available. So there's no scarcity in land. So anyone can build a plot of land or get a plot of land and develop it really cheap. So the city planning is up to the people who want the world theirs. It's like when someone built the internet, no one said, well, who's going to plan out which websites we have and who can put up what website on which domain. Anyone was free to grab any domain they want and put that up anywhere they wanted. With the exception of we will have some form of zones that are, let's say, adult friendly or kid friendly, and people will have to respect that. But otherwise, city planning, what we're hoping is people will band together and do their own city planning. A bunch of people might get together and say, I want to build a hot world, or I want to build a world that resembles Blade Runner, or I want to build a real like a real functioning city that people can homestead. It's totally completely up to you guys to build and create whatever type of civil engineering you want, and you have the entire universe with which to do it.
All right. And anyone else have questions? I can't see your name right between there. Yep, right. I'm pointing right at you. GT, it looks like. Yep.
Yeah, hi. Just following on from that, so your plan for these universes, is this all on your .com website? I guess what I'm trying to think through is you've said you can just have it host world on your own website, your own domains. I'm wondering what you're going to build, and then also how you link from say your domain to someone else's domain.
You're the man of the hour, Dean. Go for it.
Take it again. So right now, the plan is to have one open public uncharted world, and you can grab a piece of that world and you can make it as private and way off the other end of the galaxy as you want, and you'd be totally isolated on your own. Or will be a way where you can go to your own domain and either have it forward into the world, overlap the world, or have it be completely isolated if you want to be totally isolated. We call those, or referring to those as campuses right now. We don't have those available yet, but if you wanted to build your own campus, let's say you're a private company, you're a really big company like a Microsoft, or you just want to build your own location of your own campus where people can go collaborate for work, you could do that and you'd be able to go to your own domain. So the particulars of that are not fully solved yet. They will come out over time, but that is meant to be able to do that. Magically, what we're hoping to do, all of our client-side code, 100% of it will be open source. While the server will not be open source, the protocols that allow you to connect to the server will be open and published. And there will be more and more tools over to allow you to connect to it. But it is our hope that we will help to code develop or pay for an open source community in the form of a contest to develop an RP1 compatible server that you would be able to run on your own machine you wouldn't need to use our service whatsoever. So if you wanted your own private system, you could grab one of these open source servers once they get developed, drop it on your machine, and run it. There's going to be technical limitations that you'll run into, of course, because putting 1,000 people in the world requires a lot of bandwidth and a lot of potential compute power. And we don't think that those particular servers will be able to scale as high as the RP1 servers. But you could run it completely on your own domain with your own company, just like you build your own website. If you want to build a website and run it from your computer at home, you could. And at some point, you will be able to do that with RP1 too. But it will be completely compatible. So if you built something and you ran it on your own server, you'd just be able to take that same service and drop it into RP1 in seconds. So,
I see someone in the audience. I see someone in the audience. Fatality, you got to come up for a second because I love your name and I know you're a famous gamer. Come on up. You got to say hi to everyone. Fatality, this is the Fatality, who's a very, very famous gamer.
What's up,
I would love
everyone?
for you to. Why don't you share your question with us? Go for it. I saw you raising your hand.
Oh, I didn't have a question. I was actually stretching.
Oh my God! he just wanted to come on up here. All right, well, Fatality, you got your glory.
Oh yeah. And, I like the game where I fly through and so forth. That was actually a lot of fun.
Did you beat the score? Were you first place?
Yeah, of course. David both invited me to the event, and obviously I experienced this last year with Chris, and yeah, it's pretty cool, and flying around, it's pretty interactive, and it's wild.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming. I really appreciate it.
Yep.
And
Thanks for having
thanks
me.
for stretching. That's why you came up to the stage.